John Carter stared at the screen, his eyes wide with disbelief. The pattern was unmistakable. After 15 years of scanning the cosmos for signals, the astrophysicist had found something that changed everything. "Lisa, you need to see this," he called to his colleague without taking his eyes off the monitor. Lisa Wright hurried across the laboratory, her coffee sloshing dangerously close to the rim of her mug. She set it down and leaned over John's shoulder, squinting at the complex waveforms. "Is that what I think it is?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. John nodded slowly. "It's artificial, and it's not one of ours." The signal had originated from a star system nearly 50 light-years away. What made it extraordinary wasn't just its alien origin, but its content. As they worked through the night to decode it, the truth became increasingly clear and increasingly alarming. "They're talking about us," Lisa said as dawn broke over the Global Space Initiative complex. "These patterns here, they're referencing Earth's position, our technological development rate." She pushed her red hair back from her face, exhaustion evident in her movements. John's fingers flew across his keyboard. "And they're not just talking about us. They're talking to others about us." He pointed to a section of the decoded message. "This looks like a coordination pattern. Multiple recipients." By noon, the facility was in lockdown. Government officials arrived in unmarked vehicles. Admiral Frank Peterson of the United Earth Defense Force strode into the lab flanked by serious-looking men and women in dark suits. "Dr. Carter, Dr. Wright." The Admiral nodded curtly. "I understand you've made a significant discovery." John stood to face the military man. "Admiral, we've intercepted communications between multiple alien civilizations. They're discussing humanity, and from what we can tell, they're concerned about our expansion potential." Lisa added, "The tone suggests a coalition forming specifically to address the human question, as they call it." The next 48 hours passed in a blur of briefings and debates. In a secure underground facility beneath Washington, D.C., world leaders argued over how to respond. "We should establish diplomatic channels immediately," insisted Secretary of State Diane Reynolds. "First contact should be peaceful." General Steve Miller pounded his fist on the table. "They're already coordinating against us. This isn't first contact. It's first conspiracy." While the debate raged, another discovery shook the scientific community. In Antarctica, a research team led by Dr. Sam Wilson had uncovered something impossible, an artifact of clearly artificial origin, buried deep in the ice for what preliminary dating suggested was over 100,000 years. "The energy readings are off the charts," Dr. Wilson reported via secure video link, his bearded face red from the cold despite being inside the research dome. "And there's something else. It's responding to the signal, like it was waiting for it." John and Lisa exchanged glances across the situation room. "That can't be coincidence," John muttered. Admiral Peterson's phone buzzed. His face darkened as he listened to the caller. When he hung up, the room fell silent, waiting. "We've detected objects entering the solar system," the Admiral announced. "Multiple vessels, approaching from different vectors. They'll reach Earth orbit in approximately 7 days." Lisa clutched John's arm. "That's too fast. The signal we intercepted was from 50 light-years away." "Then they were already on their way," John replied grimly. "The message we caught wasn't a planning discussion. It was a status update." President Howard stood. "Ladies and gentlemen, humanity now stands at a crossroads. In 1 week, we will face beings from beyond our world. Whether they come as friends or foes remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. After that meeting, nothing on Earth will ever be the same again." The Antarctic artifact pulsed with an eerie blue light as if in agreement, its ancient technology awakening after millennia of silence. The space station Liberty hung in Earth's orbit like a glittering jewel against the blackness of space. Inside, Kate Miller smoothed her uniform and checked her reflection one last time. As Earth's chief diplomat, she carried the weight of humanity on her shoulders today. "They're docking now," "Ma'am," said her assistant. Kate nodded. "Let's make history." The alien vessels had arrived exactly when predicted. 3 ships of different designs, suggesting different species working together. They had requested this meeting rather than landing on Earth, a detail that wasn't lost on Kate or her advisors. The airlock hissed open. Kate stood tall as the first alien entered the chamber. It walked on 2 legs but resembled a tall, slender insect with 4 arms and compound eyes that shimmered with an intelligence that was unmistakable. Behind it came 2 more creatures, one reptilian with iridescent scales, another that seemed almost gaseous, contained within a mechanical suit. "I am Ambassador Zorn of the Galactic Concordat." The insectoid being spoke in perfect English. "These are representatives Faxer and Mist of Dawn." Kate stepped forward. "I'm Kate Miller, representing the United Nations of Earth. We welcome you and hope for peaceful dialogue." The meeting room had been specially prepared with various seating options to accommodate unknown physiologies. Once settled, the true purpose of the visit became clear. "We have been observing your species for some time," Zorn stated, mandibles clicking softly between words. "Your technological advancement rate is concerning." "Concerning?" Kate asked, keeping her voice neutral. The reptilian, Faxer, leaned forward. "In the last century alone, you've progressed from basic flight to space travel, from simple radio to quantum communications, from fission to fusion experiments. And your history of warfare," added the misty figure, its voice coming through a translator, "suggests you will bring these tendencies to the stars." Kate felt a chill despite the room's controlled temperature. "We come in peace. We seek only knowledge and partnership." "Many species say this," Zorn replied. "Yet history shows that rapidly advancing civilizations often expand aggressively, competing for resources and territory." The meeting lasted hours, with discussions ranging from human history to potential futures. Finally, Zorn delivered what was clearly the real message of their visit. "The Concordat has reached a consensus. Earth must remain confined to its solar system for a probationary period of no less than 500 years. A stunned silence filled the room before Kate found her voice. "That's not a request. It's an ultimatum." "It is a compromise," Faxer hissed. Some members wished for more permanent containment measures. Meanwhile, on Antarctica, Dr. Sam Wilson stood in a cavern of ice, staring at the exposed artifact. It was roughly cylindrical, covered in symbols unlike any known Earth language. A team of scientists worked around it, taking readings and photographs. "Temperature's rising again," called out a technician. "Whatever it's doing, it's accelerating." Sam approached carefully. The artifact had begun to pulse with increasing frequency since the alien ships entered Earth orbit. He ran his hand just above its surface, feeling a strange vibration in the air. "Wait," he said suddenly. "These markings here, they match patterns in the alien signal." The realization hit him like a thunderbolt. This wasn't just an artifact. It was a weapon or shield of some kind. And whatever ancient civilization had left it on Earth had clearly been preparing for something. As Kate continued her diplomatic dance aboard the space station, Sam made a crucial discovery. Within the artifact's code was a warning, one left by a species that had apparently faced the Concordat before. "Get me the defense force," Sam said urgently. "This isn't the first time these aliens have come to Earth, and last time, someone left us a means to fight back." The Geneva Convention Center buzzed with tension as world leaders gathered for what many were calling the most important summit in human history. Security was tight, with armed guards at every entrance and fighter jets patrolling the skies above. President Howard stood at the podium, his face grave. 3 days ago, representatives of an alien coalition delivered an ultimatum. They demand we remain confined to our solar system for 500 years. He paused as murmurs swept through the assembly. "Today we decide humanity's response." Colonel Alex Nelson, the youngest person ever to achieve his rank in the United Earth Defense Force, took the stage next. His presentation was blunt and unsettling. "Based on our analysis of their technology, the Concordat could wipe us out if they wished," he said, pointing to holographic images of the alien vessels. But they prefer containment to conflict. This suggests they may be overstretched militarily or divided politically. The colonel's eyes narrowed. We have a window of opportunity. While appearing to comply, we can prepare. The Antarctic artifact proves we're not the first to face this threat. When he finished, Olivia Green from the Advanced Propulsion Laboratory stepped forward. Though barely 30, she had revolutionized spacecraft design. For the past decade, we've been developing something in secret, she said, activating a hologram of an engine unlike anything publicly known. The quantum displacement drive. It can achieve speeds the Concordat wouldn't believe possible from us. Gasps filled the room as she explained its capabilities. With this, we could build ships that could reach nearby stars in weeks, not decades or centuries. We could establish colonies before they realize what we've done. The debate raged for hours. Some nations advocated immediate submission to avoid destruction. Others pushed for diplomatic engagement to negotiate better terms. And if diplomacy fails, asked the British Prime Minister, if they detect our preparations. That's when Dr. Eric Martinez was called to speak about the Antarctic discovery. We've determined the artifact was left by a civilization the Concordat apparently destroyed, he explained. But they left this technology as a failsafe for other species who might face the same threat. On the screen behind him, images showed the artifact now partially disassembled in a laboratory. It's a planetary shield generator. Once fully activated, it could prevent orbital bombardment and create a defensive bubble around Earth. It would buy us time to build our fleet. As the presentation concluded, Admiral Peterson stood. Ladies and gentlemen, I propose a three-pronged strategy. First, we appear to accept their terms while activating the shield. Second, we accelerate our military buildup beyond Mars, hidden from their sensors. Third, we prepare for both peaceful coexistence and, if necessary, conflict. The vote was not unanimous. Several nations abstained, fearing the consequences, but the majority agreed. Humanity would not accept imprisonment in its own solar system. As the summit concluded, Kate Miller received new instructions for her next meeting with the Concordat representatives. She would stall, negotiate details, request clarifications, anything to buy time. In Antarctica, Dr. Martins worked through the night with his team. The artifact had begun to respond to their efforts, its symbols glowing with increasing brightness. I think we figured out the activation sequence, he told Admiral Peterson via secure channel. But there's a problem. Once we start it, we can't stop the process, and we don't know exactly what will happen when it fully activates. The Admiral's response was immediate. Do it. We're out of time. As dawn broke over Antarctica, Martinez initiated the sequence. The artifact rose from its mounting, hovering in the air. Energy cascaded from it in waves, passing through the facility walls and spreading across the ice shelf. Humanity had made its decision. They would not go quietly into the cosmic night. 5 years passed like a whirlwind of activity, hidden from watchful alien eyes. Earth appeared compliant on the surface. Official communications with the Concordat were respectful, even subservient. Kate Miller continued her diplomatic role, requesting minor concessions and clarifications that stretched negotiations without raising suspicion. Behind Jupiter's massive bulk, hidden from both Earth and incoming observation, the space station, Aegis, took shape. What began as a skeleton of metal grew into humanity's largest off-world structure. Its construction required countless stealth missions, with supply ships using the gas giant's radiation belts to mask their signatures. Status report, Admiral Peterson demanded during his monthly inspection. His hair had gone completely gray since first contact. Construction is 87% complete, sir, replied the station commander. The shipyards are operational, and the first 3 vessels of the fleet are ready for testing. The flagship of this secret armada, Defiance, hung in the massive construction bay. Unlike the clunky, utilitarian ships humanity had built before, this vessel was sleek and predatory, incorporating both human innovation and reverse-engineered concepts from the ancient Antarctic technology. Captain Grace Sullivan walked the corridors of her new command, running her hand along the smooth bulkheads. At 42, she had been chosen to lead humanity's first true warship, a responsibility that kept her awake most nights. "Beautiful, isn't she?" asked Chief Engineer Ryan Parker, falling into step beside her. Sullivan nodded. "Is she ready?" "As ready as anything untested can be," Parker replied with a wry smile. "The quantum drive is installed. If it works as designed, we could reach Alpha Centauri in 11 days. Meanwhile, on Earth, in an underground facility beneath the New Mexico desert, scientists Paul Rodriguez and Amanda Foster hunched over workbenches testing weapons that would have seemed like magic a decade earlier. "The quantum disruptor is stable," Amanda announced, removing her protective goggles. Sweat beaded on her dark skin despite the lab's cooling systems. "Power consumption is high but manageable." Paul examined the readings and whistled softly. "If these work as designed, we can disable alien systems without destruction. Non-lethal but effective." "That's the goal," Amanda replied. "Show strength without becoming the aggressors they fear we are." The Antarctic Shield had been fully operational for 4 years now. To outside observers, it appeared dormant, but its protective field extended throughout Earth's atmosphere, ready to activate at a moment's notice. Dr. Martinez had eventually decoded more of its creator's messages, warnings about the Concordat's tactics and technology that proved invaluable. On Mars, visible mining operations and a small colony served as perfect cover. The aliens monitored these activities closely, satisfied that humans were developing their own system as instructed. They never detected the massive shipments of materials that continued outward to the hidden shipyards, or the manufacturing centers buried deep under the Martian surface. "We're approaching a critical point," Admiral Peterson told the World Security Council during a secure meeting. "Our intelligence suggests the Concordat conducts major inspections of containment species every 5 years. We should expect them soon." President Howard, now in his second term, nodded gravely. "Are we ready if they discover our preparations?" "No," Peterson answered honestly, "but we're closer than we've ever been." Captain Sullivan will begin shakedown cruises of defiance next week. The planetary shield is fully operational, and we've established emergency colonies on 7 moons and asteroids throughout the system. As the meeting concluded, an aide rushed in with urgent news. Long-range sensors had detected multiple Concordat vessels entering the outer solar system. "They're earlier than expected," Peterson muttered. "Or right on time," countered General Miller. "It's been exactly 5 Earth years since first contact." Across the solar system, humans at secret bases and construction facilities received coded alerts. The moment of truth was approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. Captain Sullivan received the news while on Defiance's bridge. She squared her shoulders and addressed her crew. "This isn't a drill. Prepare the ship for immediate departure. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can do." While the Concordat believed Earth was obediently developing within its solar system boundaries, humanity's true reach had already extended far beyond. For the past 3 years, stealth scouts with experimental cloaking technology had ventured into alien territory, gathering crucial intelligence that would determine humanity's future. Luke Harrison sat motionless in the cockpit of his scout ship, Whisper, floating silently 20 kilometers from a Concordat outpost. The vessel's systems were running on minimal power to avoid detection. Only his life support and passive sensors remained active. "Recording complete," whispered his co-pilot, Ben Wright. "We've got their communication protocols and defense grid specifications." Luke nodded, his eyes never leaving the sensor display. "Prepare for microjump. 5 seconds." The Whisper disappeared in a brief flicker of light, reappearing 500,000 kilometers away. Only then did both men breathe normally again. "That's the 3rd outpost this month," Luke said, initiating the encrypted transmission to send their findings back to Aegis Station. "The pattern is consistent. Their detection grid has the same blind spots at each location. This mission was just one of dozens happening simultaneously across nearby star systems. Earth's intelligence gathering had become increasingly bold and sophisticated, mapping Concordat territories and identifying potential allies among other contained species. Back on Earth, Kate Miller continued her diplomatic charade. The Concordat representatives had grown accustomed to her polite, seemingly submissive demeanor. Ambassador Zorn, she greeted the insectoid alien with a respectful bow. "Thank you for agreeing to discuss our request for expanded mining rights on Venus. Your proposals are reasonable," Zorn replied, compound eyes glistening. "The Concordat appreciates Earth's cooperation these past years. Some members have suggested your probationary period might be reduced if this continues." Kate smiled, hiding the grim satisfaction she felt. Every meeting like this bought more time for humanity's preparations. In Antarctica, Dr. San Wilson supervised the final integration of the ancient technology with human systems. The original artifact had been carefully disassembled, its components distributed to key defense installations around the planet. "The synchronization is holding at 94%, reported his assistant. "That's higher than we've ever achieved." Sam nodded thoughtfully. "It'll have to be enough." According to the translated warnings, the shield was never meant to be permanent, just a temporary advantage to allow for counterattack. His tablet chimed with an urgent notification. The alien inspection fleet had passed Neptune's orbit, moving toward Earth faster than anticipated. On Mars, Colonial Administrator Heather Davis received the same alert. She immediately initiated the rehearsed protocols, ensuring all evidence of unauthorized development was hidden. Surface activities continued normally while, below ground, massive doors sealed off the secret manufacturing facilities. The Concordat vessels took up positions around Earth, more numerous than during their first arrival. Their scans probed the planet's atmosphere, oceans, and developing lunar base. "They're scanning more thoroughly than before," Admiral Peterson observed from the Secure Command Center beneath Washington, "and they've deployed satellites around Mars and Venus." His aide looked up from her console. "Sir, one vessel has changed course. It's heading toward Jupiter." Peterson's jaw tightened. "They suspect something. Alert Aegis Station immediately." The massive gas giant had served as the perfect shield for humanity's secret shipyard, but nothing could hide Aegis from a close inspection. If the Concordat discovered the true extent of Earth's military development, their response would likely be swift and devastating. In the silence of deep space, Captain Sullivan received the warning aboard Defiance. She called her officers to the bridge. "Prepare for emergency deployment," she ordered. "All systems to full readiness." Her executive officer looked concerned. "The final weapons systems aren't fully calibrated yet." Sullivan's expression was grim but determined. "We're out of time. If they find Aegis, everything we've built will be for nothing." She took her command chair. "The time for hiding is over." While the Concordat believed Earth was obediently developing within its solar system boundaries, humanity's true reach had already extended far beyond. For the past 3 years, stealth scouts with experimental cloaking technology had ventured into alien territory, gathering crucial intelligence that would determine humanity's future. Luke Harrison sat motionless in the cockpit of his scout ship, Whisper, floating silently 20 kilometers from a Concordat outpost. The vessel's systems were running on minimal power to avoid detection. Only his life support and passive sensors remained active. "Recording complete," whispered his co-pilot, Ben Wright. "We've got their communication protocols and defense grid specifications." Luke nodded, his eyes never leaving the sensor display. "Prepare for microjump. 5 seconds." The Whisper disappeared in a brief flicker of light, reappearing 500,000 kilometers away. Only then did both men breathe normally again. "That's the 3rd outpost this month," Luke said, initiating the encrypted transmission to send their findings back to Aegis Station. "The pattern is consistent. Their detection grid has the same blind spots at each location." This mission was just one of dozens happening simultaneously across nearby star systems. Earth's intelligence gathering had become increasingly bold and sophisticated, mapping Concordat territories and identifying potential allies among other contained species. Back on Earth, Kate Miller continued her diplomatic charade. The Concordat representatives had grown accustomed to her polite, seemingly submissive demeanor. Ambassador Zorn, she greeted the insectoid alien with a respectful bow. "Thank you for agreeing to discuss our request for expanded mining rights on Venus." "Your proposals are reasonable," Zorn replied, compound eyes glistening. "The Concordat appreciates Earth's cooperation these past years. Some members have suggested your probationary period might be reduced if this continues." Kate smiled, hiding the grim satisfaction she felt. Every meeting like this bought more time for humanity's preparations. In Antarctica, Dr. Sam Wilson supervised the final integration of the ancient technology with human systems. The original artifact had been carefully disassembled, its components distributed to key defense installations around the planet. "The synchronization is holding at 94%, reported his assistant. "That's higher than we've ever achieved." Sam nodded thoughtfully. "It'll have to be enough." According to the translated warnings, the shield was never meant to be permanent, just a temporary advantage to allow for counterattack. His tablet chimed with an urgent notification. The alien inspection fleet had passed Neptune's orbit, moving toward Earth faster than anticipated. On Mars, Colonial Administrator Heather Davis received the same alert. She immediately initiated the rehearsed protocols, ensuring all evidence of unauthorized development was hidden. Surface activities continued normally while, below ground, massive doors sealed off the secret manufacturing facilities. The Concordat vessels took up positions around Earth, more numerous than during their first arrival. Their scans probed the planet's atmosphere, oceans, and developing lunar base. "They're scanning more thoroughly than before," Admiral Peterson observed from the Secure Command Center beneath Washington. "And they've deployed satellites around Mars and Venus." His aide looked up from her console. "Sir, one vessel has changed course. It's heading toward Jupiter." Peterson's jaw tightened. "They suspect something. Alert Aegis Station immediately." The massive gas giant had served as the perfect shield for humanity's secret shipyard, but nothing could hide Aegis from a close inspection. If the Concordat discovered the true extent of Earth's military development, their response would likely be swift and devastating. In the silence of deep space, Captain Sullivan received the warning aboard Defiance. She called her officers to the bridge. "Prepare for emergency deployment," she ordered. "All systems to full readiness." Her executive officer looked concerned. "The final weapons systems aren't fully calibrated yet." Sullivan's expression was grim but determined. "We're out of time. If they find Aegis, everything we've built will be for nothing." She took her command chair. "The time for hiding is over." The Concordat High Council chamber had never witnessed such panic. Representatives from 37 species crowded the circular hall, their voices rising in a cacophony of alarm. View screens displayed disabled Concordat vessels drifting in Earth's solar system. "Silence," roared the council elder, a massive being whose crystalline body refracted light in dazzling patterns. "We must respond with unity and strength." Ambassador Zorn stood at the center of the chamber, still shaken by his encounter with humanity. "The situation is more complex than simple military response," he stated. "The humans disabled our vessels without destroying them. They showed restraint." "Restraint?" scoffed a counselor. "They built a battle fleet in secret. They violated containment protocols." "And yet," Zorn continued, "their terms demand consideration. They seek recognition, not conquest." While the Concordat debated, humanity moved swiftly to establish its new position in the galaxy. Earth's fleet deployed strategically through nearby systems, establishing monitoring posts and secure travel corridors. Captain Sullivan led a battle group to Proxima Centauri, claiming the first official human colony beyond the solar system. "Perimeter secure," reported her tactical officer as Defiance took up position above the habitable moon they had selected. No sign of Concordat response. Sullivan nodded, gazing at the view screen where transport ships began their descent to the surface. Begin construction of the defense grid immediately. We won't be caught unprepared again. On Earth, celebrations mixed with uncertainty. People gathered in cities worldwide, watching news of humanity's expansion into space. Street parties erupted in New York, Beijing, and London, while military recruiters saw lines stretching around blocks. Admiral Peterson and President Howard received the first communication from beyond the Concordat. A species calling themselves the Nilari, contained for over 3 centuries, reached out after hearing humanity's broadcast. "We have hidden our true capabilities as you did," their message stated. "Your actions give us courage to stand also." Within weeks, reports arrived of other contained species revealing their own secret developments. The Concordat's control was unraveling at an unprecedented rate. Dr. San Wilson led a team to study the disabled Concordat vessels, which had been towed to Aegis Station. "Their technology is impressive," he admitted, "but not as advanced as they led us to believe. Their power comes from numbers and organization, not technological superiority." Kate Miller, now appointed as Earth's first galactic ambassador, prepared for the most important meeting of her career. The Concordat had requested negotiations at a neutral location, an ancient space station orbiting a pulsar at the edge of explored space. "We need to be firm, but not aggressive," she told her team as their ship approached the meeting point. "Our goal is recognition and autonomy, not dominance." The negotiations lasted 7 days. When Kate returned to Earth, she brought with her the framework for galactic relations, a new treaty that recognized humanity's right to expand to any unclaimed world within 50 light-years of Earth, with provisions for peaceful contact and trade with all willing species. Luke Harrison, the scout pilot whose intelligence had proven so crucial, found himself assigned to a new mission. Leading first contact with potential allies the Concordat had previously kept isolated from each other. "We're not just breaking free," he told his crew as they prepared to depart. "We're reshaping the galaxy's power structure." In the office atop the newly constructed Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Peterson and Captain Sullivan stood before a holographic star map. Colored indicators showed Earth's growing sphere of influence, alongside potential expansion routes. "We should reach these systems within the next 3 years, Sullivan said, pointing to a cluster of stars. "Initial surveys show multiple habitable worlds." Peterson nodded thoughtfully. "And the Concordat?" "Retreating to core territories," Sullivan replied. "Their coalition is fragmenting as more species assert independence." Peterson smiled slightly. "Not bad for a contained species." Outside the window, construction crews worked on a monument commemorating those who had prepared Earth's defense in secret for 5 years. Its inscription would read, "To those who refused containment and claimed the stars as humanity's birthright." In the depths of space, Concordat observers watched Earth's vessels extend farther into the galaxy each day. Their report to the High Council was brief but profound. The warning was not empty. "The humans cannot be contained, and the galaxy has been forever changed." 10 years had passed since humanity broke free from the Concordat's attempt to contain them. The galaxy had transformed in ways few could have imagined during those tense early days. What began as Earth's defiant stand had evolved into something greater, a movement that historians were already calling the Great Liberation. On the planet Novaris, Earth's most distant colony at 70 light-years from home, Governor Roy Bennett watched the sunrise over an alien landscape. Purple vegetation swayed in the morning breeze while settlers prepared for another day of building. Construction drones hummed overhead, assembling prefabricated structures for the growing population. "Beautiful morning," said a voice behind him. Bennett turned to see Barbara Chen, chief scientist of the colony. "It is," he agreed. "Hard to believe this was all empty space a decade ago." Barbara nodded. "The settlement conference begins in an hour. Are you ready?" The conference would bring together representatives from 23 formerly contained species, all now establishing their own presence among the stars. Humanity had become not just an explorer but a mediator, helping prevent conflicts as new civilizations expanded outward. Across the galaxy, the Concordat still existed, but in dramatically reduced form. Nearly half its member species had declared independence, forming new alliances or joining the coalition Earth had helped establish, the Stellar Cooperative. Aboard the diplomatic vessel Unity, Captain Jack Wilson reviewed security protocols for the upcoming Council of Equals meeting. Unlike the Concordat's hierarchical structure, the Council gave each species equal voice regardless of their technological development or territory. Final delegate count, he asked his executive officer. 42 species confirmed, sir, including 3 that were previously unknown to us, apparently hidden even deeper than the standard containment protocols. Jack raised an eyebrow. The galaxy keeps getting more interesting. Back on Earth, Admiral Peterson, now gray-haired but still sharp-minded, addressed the graduating class of the Galactic Defense Academy. Young officers from a dozen worlds stood at attention, their diverse forms representing the new reality of interspecies cooperation. When I was your age, Peterson began, humanity believed itself alone in the universe. Then we learned not only were we not alone, but we were considered dangerous, a species to be caged and monitored. He paused, looking out at the assembled cadets. We refused that future. But our greatest achievement wasn't breaking our own chains. It was helping others break theirs too. Remember that your primary mission isn't conquest or even exploration. It's liberation and protection. In deep space, at the edge of known territory, the research vessel Discovery drifted near a massive artifact unlike anything encountered before. Dr. Olivia Green, whose propulsion breakthroughs had helped humanity reach the stars, directed the investigation. Preliminary analysis suggests it's at least 2 million years old, she reported to her team, and it contains data storage systems still partially functional. Her assistant looked up from his console. Could it be connected to the Antarctic artifact? Possibly, Olivia replied. But I think it's something more. The energy signatures suggest it was a beacon, a warning system of some kind. As they worked, a message arrived from Earth Command. Strange signals had been detected from well beyond cooperative space. Something was moving out there in the darkness between galaxies. Captain Grace Sullivan, now Fleet Admiral, called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. We've detected what appears to be a large-scale fleet approaching from intergalactic space, she explained, activating a holographic display. Preliminary estimates suggest hundreds, possibly thousands of vessels. The Concordat? Asked the council member. Sullivan shook her head. No, something else entirely. Something older. She looked around the table at representatives from species that had once been bitter rivals, but now stood united. 10 years ago, Earth stood alone against those who would contain us. Today, we face a new challenge, but we face it alongside allies. She straightened her uniform. Humanity's warning to the galaxy was just the beginning. Now we all stand together against whatever comes next. In the vast darkness of intergalactic space, the unknown fleet continued its approach, drawn perhaps by the sudden flourishing of civilizations no longer contained. The next chapter of galactic history was about to begin.